Are you ready to crack the code on closing bigger deals and landing better clients? Welcome to The Closing Code, the podcast for sales pros and agency owners who want to master the art of selling high-ticket digital marketing services. In each episode, your hosts, Clinton James and Josh Koenigsberg, bring you real-world strategies, actionable insights, and proven tactics to help you level up your sales game. No fluff, no gimmicks, just the tools you need to win more deals and build a thriving agency. Let's get started.
Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of The Closing Code, where we talk selling digital marketing services, specifically high-ticket retainer clients. I am one of your hosts, Clinton James, also the Chief Marketing Officer at Water Restoration Marketing. I am not joined by my co-host, Josh, today because Josh is out closing business, doing what he does best. But I am super excited about the guest that we have on today, not just because I'm a big fan of him, his business, his brothers, but I'm also a client of his for my agency. So today I am joined by Azhar Siddiqui. He is the CEO and co-founder of RepStack. Azhar, thanks for getting on the podcast with us today.
Thanks for having me, Clinton. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, it's been an honor knowing you and Josh over the last 4 years at least now,
Mhm.
and seeing you guys grow and do everything you guys have been doing. Everything is phenomenal. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I'm the co-founder of RepStack along with my two other brothers, and it's been a phenomenal journey. I started out my journey as a marketing agency owner, and it kind of evolved in Clinton and I are part of same coaching group, and I got to learn this concept about niching down, and I got the opportunity to place a person with our coach. Happened to be the coach that we were all signed up for, and he gave the tried to he gave me the opportunity. We came through the first time. That was the first time I was placing someone, and from there this whole thing blew up. And I think Josh Nelson, our coach, says really one important thing is fastest way to $1 million is a joint venture, and this business kind of started out with a joint venture as our first client. And that kind of gave us the speed that I never had in my previous businesses. So
Well,
yeah, here we are.
let's talk about speed real quick because I want to be probably not the first, but one of many to congratulate you, Azhar, and the entire team over at RepStack. You guys made the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies. So tell me a little bit about what that means to you as one of the co-founders and the CEO over at RepStack.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Between 2004 and 2011, I was working a job, a sales job. So we're speaking sales here. I was working a sales job at Best Buy Canada, and they had this acquired this outfit called Future Shop, where it was a commission-based system. So Best Buy had no commissions, but at Future Shop, electronic sales, but commissions. So it was a cutthroat environment. If you want to learn sales, the Future Shop was the way to go. So I was taking, one of my bus rides home, and to the work. Uh, I used to read these magazines like Fortune and Inc. and Forbes, and I'm selling these sound audio systems to teenagers while I'm reading these magazines. So the guys in the tech bay, installing guys, they'd make fun. They'd be like, "Dude, you're reading Forbes here. We're selling like stereo systems here. What the hell, man?" So get with the workflow here. But fast forward to 2025, I'm really, really honored that something really clicked. And maybe we'll talk about that as well. What I feel what was the differentiating factor. But yeah, today RepStack is ranked as one of the fastest growing private companies in the US. In our business category of human resources, we're ranked 66th in the US. In our home state of Delaware, we're ranked 19th. And it feels like we're just getting started, man. So it's like something that I've been looking out for. since day one, and we're finally there. We achieved over the last 3 years, we achieved 193% year over year growth, and that's what led us to this monumental, I guess. Yeah, it's a big thing for me, but yeah, everyone's proud. The team is proud. We have 300 people now, right? So that also makes a huge impact for everyone who's part of the movement, that they say that, okay, so we're moving in the right direction. Okay, things are moving along, right? So it's a huge testament to the team, to our clients like you. So who wouldn't have been you've been there pretty much from day one, man. I think like it's been a long journey as you as a client, and you've seen us grow, right? So clients like you giving us the chance, uh, opening up not just your agencies, but the mindsets and the culture that you're bringing in to your clients. I think like all of that stuff is impacting, right? So this is not just mine, that Inc. 5000 on my Yeti that just fresh off the, uh, you know, shipment truck, is a testament to everyone who's been in the journey. And, people like you, I think, our clients, our people, and my co-founding team. I think that's been the journey, and the journey is what we need to savor right now.
I love it. So if you are in the agency space and you're not familiar with who RepStack is and what they do, well, first of all, you're probably living under a rock, right? Because they're at every Go High level event, they're at all the 7FA events. But for those who are listening to the podcast today, Azar, that's not familiar with RepStack and what you offer specifically to digital marketing agencies, give them a quick little elevator pitch. Tell them a little bit about what you guys do and what roles you guys place for.
So yeah, in short, we place marketing talent with marketing agencies and SaaS businesses primarily. We also work with business coaches and e-commerce businesses, but bulk of our business is marketing agencies, let's say 70%. Then we have the SaaS businesses, and then we have everybody else. And the key difference between us and everybody else is that we are focused on the digital marketing talent, and the marketing, or let's say marketing or sales related talent. So that's what our specialty is. We stick to that. That's our lane. So we've kind of niched down on our the clients that we want to work with, which are people like Clinton. And we've also niched down on the type of talent that we bring to the table, which is sales and marketing. So that's all we do. And anything to do in between there with sales, for example, it's not just the sales development rep or the closer. You're eventually moving into account managers. Then you're going to need project manager. You're going to need specialists like the media buyers and things like that. So, we tend to cover roles that you're going to, as you scale your agency, you're going to need. And, and yeah, and that's pretty much it, man. Like we've built this business to Inc. 5000 with like completely 100% remote business, primarily out of Pakistan. That's where most of our talent is based out of. And most of our people are working with some of the best agencies in the US. So what happens is that because we keep our focus on the talent on the digital marketing side, what happens is that all these 300 people now behind the scenes working for Clinton, for example, if Clinton, Danny, what's his specialty? What does he do for you?
So, just so the audience knows, the gentleman that actually produces this podcast and does tons of work for my agency, Danielle, he actually is a marketing assistant from RepStack. He's been with us almost 2 years now. He is absolutely invaluable to our agency, our podcast, everything that we do. So,
So for example, taking the idea of Daniel, he's a video production guy. Imagine if Daniel was running into an issue with rendering a video or doing some cutting edge edits that Josh and Clinton wanted from him. And now what's going to happen if he was independently hired? He's going to have to come up with a solution, look for it, all of that stuff. But right now, what's going on is that there's other 30 to 50 other associates who are in a very similar role, working at similar organizations as yours, sometimes even faster growing organizations or bigger organizations. So now we have access to these other 20 other dudes or guys and girls who are doing these cutting edge things for the best in the US. And Danny all has to do is send a Slack message over to his group, say, "Hey guys, who's got that problem solved over here?" And usually within minutes, would have like if somebody we have this saying internally that if we can't solve that problem, I don't think in digital marketing anybody else can. Just because of the type of people that we have. It's not because it's the best of the best we bring to the table. It's just because everyone is getting all this experience working with the best marketing agencies in the US, and they're plugged in, supporting each other and supporting their clients like you behind the scenes.
Yeah, I will say he's super resourceful, and I'm sure the network of talent that you've put together is a big part of why he always brings solutions, not problems, to the table. And again, very appreciative of that. But we're going to talk some sales here, Czar, because when you guys originally started RepStack, um, hiring salespeople or people to serve in sales roles wasn't necessarily the first thing that you guys did, right?
Yeah, actually, maybe yeah, I may have to correct you on that one. Our very first role, our employee number one that we placed for our coach Josh Nelson at Seven Figure Agency. His name is Henry, and don't be going out and poaching people, but he's since he started out as a appointment setter, so that was one of the first SDRs we placed. But we quickly moved, Clinton, you're right, into marketing specific roles like marketing assistants and media buyers and GHL people and all of that stuff. But that was the first role. So we continued to place SDRs. And we'll talk about the SDR role as well a little bit, when to hire and things like that, because I have a bone to pick about that as well. But that was the first role that we placed. 4 years fast forward, Henry is still there with Josh. He's their junior closer now, and he's been doing amazing work. His life has been changed over the last 5 years because of the earning potentials, because he's in a sales role, right? So sales roles where we got commissions, all of that stuff, and the type of culture that he's plugged in with the seven figure agency, he gets access to the same commissions that the Miami based or the Florida based team gets. So so he's taking home 5, 6, 7 grand a month, sometimes, in just his take homes and things like that. And that's life changing money back home for him. So appointment setter, yeah, but yeah, the bulk of the placements that we do is around the marketing roles. And then there's the account managers, the executive assistants, the SDRs, and the closers. That would be, I would say, about 30 to 40% of our business.
Okay. So you brought it up, so I'm gonna go ahead and open that can of worms. Agencies that are listening to this podcast, they may have started off as like a solo entrepreneur, right? One guy wears many hats in the organization there. And probably the last thing that that owner relinquishes is sales duties, right? Because they feel like, hey, I know the industry, I know the services that we offer. So it's probably the last role that they fill in the organization as they look to scale their business. You've got a unique opinion on when is the right time for an agency to look at going out and hiring, whether it's a sales development rep, whether it's an appointment setter, whether it's someone that they can come in and groom and train up to be ultimately be a closer for the agency. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think generally what happens is that there's two schools of thoughts on this, and we've seen both in herds. What happens is that as entrepreneurs, when we think about growing our business, we've been a solopreneur, for example, running our own agency, which I have done for 15 years in Calgary, Canada. And every time I had a little bit extra cash or this idea that I got to grow the business, my first thought was, I got to get somebody who can book appointments for me, just do the cold calling, and I'm going to be set, right? So we are marketing agencies, and we completely bypass the marketing aspect of it all. So if you're thinking like I thought over the last 15 years when I was in Calgary, about how I'm going to grow my agency, it never worked out. I promise you, because you cannot just overlook the marketing aspect. Here we are, we gotta eat our own dog food too. If you're a marketing agency and you're just doing pounding the phones or the pavement stuff like that, it's going to get you some traction, but it's going to attract a very wrong kind of clients that you don't want. You want people coming in, hands raised, and then your SDR is working on those leads, the opt-ins, the people who are interacting with your information. That's where the SDR is going to be really, really successful. So if you don't have that, consider this a prerequisite. Consider this like my own 15-year journey where I tried three different times, and it never worked out. But when it really worked out when we implemented on the RepStack side, Clinton, because this was the first thing. And again, when the things really started going at RepStack, I was the one who was doing the deals, and the first about 30 deals I closed. And then I had this trip come up. By that time, we were already 35,000, 40,000 a month business, right? So at that time, I feel like when you're 35 to $60,000, that's the perfect a month. That's the perfect time to start hiring a SDR. Like you've unlocked that, you've earned it. Before that, you can go for fulfillment specialists, you can go for marketing assistants, you can go for executive assistants who can do a little bit of that follow ups for you and keeping your calendars clean, things. But the SDR really gets unlocked when you have that ample revenue coming in. And with that, that's why the marketing assistance is first. Like when you're from 20 to $35,000, you should be hiring that marketing assistant first so that they can kind of lay the groundwork for the SDR to come in when you hit that 35,000 plus, and now you're ready to hire the SDR. So when we did that at RepStack, the key change was that it was the last team I had to build out because remember, we had a joint venture. So we were lucky to have clients initially come in. We started using that to put all of it back into our marketing and got the marketing engine up and running. And when we had that coming up, sales was the last team I really had to build out. I only had one person who was supporting me. And then when I left for that trip, 3-day trip to Florida, I told my guy that, hey, can you close this deal? Everything is ready to go. You just got to show up, do the interview. He's been shadowing me for the last 3 months. He closed that first deal, and I never went back to the a closing call after that. I'm like, I've done it. I thank you very much. I was told I got to do 15 deals. I did about 30 plus, and that was it. And I haven't closed a deal since then at RepStack. And we're at a point where we get 2 to 3 orders a day coming in on our sales channels and things like that. And our contracts are like if you look at on a yearly basis, are between $20,000 and $30,000. So if I can do it, I think anybody can. And that's, my thing on the pet peeve on closing and everything. First of all, you have to do it yourself because you're the leader. If you haven't done it, you can't expect anyone else to do it. And then if you're going to set up a system, set up a marketing system first so that your salespeople can have fun. Otherwise, the SDR has the biggest turnover for us because we keep placing them with people who don't have marketing system set up. And it's always, always, always going to turn into a bad hire because it wasn't the time. You're putting the horse before the cart.
I like that you brought that up, right? Because there's a revenue component as to when you should look at bringing in some sales talent, but there's also a lead flow component, right? Do you have enough active lead flow coming in on a regular basis for that person to turn those opportunities into appointments on your closer's calendar, right?
Yeah.
We'd all love to go out and hire, 40-hour a week appointment setters that are just going to pick up the phone and cold call and generate all these opportunities. And don't get me wrong, there's still a place for that. You're going to burn somebody out having them do it for 8 hours a day. But I think you're right. The most successful agencies have consistent lead flow coming in from whether it's their online marketing, a podcast they started, a book that they wrote, all the things that we talk about, the tools that we use to get prospects in our niche to show up to our agency door with their hand raised, ready to do some business with us. So, and audience, don't let the fact that Azhar is claiming that he hasn't gone back to the sales wagon. Azhar is a rock star salesperson. He is a rock star closer. And I'm sure if he wanted to, he could get back on those phones today and close more business than anybody else on the team, right?
Yeah, you are still, I think That's again, that's the biggest misconception. As co-founder, you will never step back from not selling. Like me and my brothers, we're always selling, but we're not really selling. And one of the examples is the biggest deals and the biggest contracts that still come in, they come in through our direct referrals. They come in through a friend that I know. They come in. I was just telling you about $100 million business that we closed on the agency side, and they came in through a direct contact of a friend of mine who said that, hey, and these guys are coming in from a really big organization. They're saying, hey, Azhar and his team can take care of these you guys. So they were already closed by the time they came in. And then I sat on the deal, just making sure, got on the first call with the closing team. I usually don't do that, but on this one, it was a big deal. I wanted to get on there. So you'll never get away from it. And you want to be able to, especially the bigger deals, you want to be able to bring the big business in inside your agency, right? Because you got to lead from the top, man. And if you can't do it, you can't expect your people to do it. Same thing goes for the appointment setter, Clinton. Where if you're going to put this person to the wolves, like without having marketing set up and ask them to book all these calls for you, have you done it yourself? Because if you haven't, then the only time you want to put them on calls is, like you said, these are opt-ins, these are lead flow. You have really solid lead flow. Your closer, or you, if maybe you are the closer or you have a closer, you guys have been closing those deals, so you already know that these are solid leads that are coming in. Now it's a good time to let two or three, like in our case we had a big database, so we have, I think, three or four SDRs and two closers at RepStack. And those SDRs regularly, every single day, is not one SDR that would not bring in a new boat call for the closers to come in, right? So that's a daily occurrence, but it happens because the closers know how the system below them works. If they had to, they can pick up the phone, start calling right now, and start booking those appointments themselves. And that's the type of system I feel like that works. It's always lead from the front. It's never gonna work if you're just gonna push it off. Something that you don't want to do, you're gonna push it off. Something that nobody wants to do, you better be prepared to doing it first thing.
If you can't coach, train, and develop a person in that role, if you haven't done that role, you can't coach, train, and develop a person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, so let's talk sales. Let's talk about the SDRs that RepStack is placing with agencies all over the world, right? So give me an idea, because obviously you're going out and you're finding this great talent. What do you guys look for when you guys are hiring SDRs over at RepStack?
I think the biggest thing we look for is you gotta want it. The SDR I was telling you that we placed, the SDR who's now a closer, Henry, 5 years ago. He had no experience in sales at that time. He was just a college graduate, but he was really, 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 and he was working at a restaurant. He was an engineer by trade, going to engineering school, and he was working at a restaurant, and he really, really, really wanted an opportunity. And when he got that opportunity, he made everything in his power to make that happen. And especially in the sales role, I think in any role that's the case. That's the type of person we're looking for. The number one question is, do you really want it? And you have to be like, to ask that question, you have to have laid it out, right? What they want, what are you offering? This is what I'm offering. Do you want this? If you really want it, and if you're all in, now we're going to go to work with you. We're going to help you. We're going to hire you 3 months, sometimes 6 months in advance for our people who come in on our internship program. And we pay them full salaries from day one without even, and they're just training for 3 months straight. So that's the level of investment we do. So our people, like, we're not going to go and take a look at a job board. We're going to go into RepStack Success Academy, where all the people are reporting, and we're going to find a suitable candidate for our clients. So they're already an employee. So that's what we do. Once they want it, we're going to invest. And I think our secret sauce at RepStack has been the training and development, Clinton, that you were talking about. RepStack Success Academy is the department, and everyone at RepStack has a 90-day training track at all times. And that's what before they get placed with the clients, and even after that, so that they're just upscaling, and the focus on the coaching and training and providing them the right support. And training and coaching is one thing. Having access to their peers who are doing similar or better fast-paced work at similar organizations, that's a completely different level of support and coaching available to our people. So it's kind of turned into flywheel of learning and coaching and training. That's what really sets us apart. And if there's an SDR who can get it done, and they can get it done, then it's going to be really shame on us, like if we weren't able to provide that, because of all the case studies that we've had.
Well, let's talk about a couple things that you said there first, Azar. One is the amount of training these SDRs are getting before they even get introduced to a client, an agency, right? Your average agency, I know when we started first hiring our first appointment setters, we didn't have the runway to hire someone and spend 30, 60, 90 days coaching and developing them. Right. So we literally would do a couple days, a week worth of training and get them on the phones. Right. Because we had that sense of urgency. We didn't have the finances or the infrastructure to support that.
From back in the head, we always knew, Clinton, that I wish I could train this guy, man. This guy I'm going to hire, I'm going to do everything to get him success, and I'm going to spend extra time with him. And you're just for the first 2 weeks, I'm going to let him train. Right. But we never, and I've been in that
Never
boat,
works
man.
out that way. It never works out that way. So that's one component that really, if you're considering either hiring an SDR in-house or looking at RepStack, that's a huge advantage because these folks are not, these folks have gone through very extensive training on digital marketing, on services, and on sales practices, right? Now, the other thing that you mentioned, when we go back to Henry is a engineer. He was a student by trade. These aren't people that, just came fresh out of high school here in the US, don't really have any career options, don't have any formal education outside of high school. Because you're going to Pakistan and other places like that, you're getting talented, really intelligent, well-schooled individuals to fill these what we consider here in the US entry-level sales roles, right? Talk a little bit about the going to Pakistan and being able to work with people that are so well educated. Uh,
Yeah.
what does that mean for an agency to hire someone of that caliber as opposed to what they would get here in the US?
Yeah. So definitely, like if you look dollar to dollar, uh, a person like Henry versus someone here in the US, you're looking at 40,000 versus 90,000 at least USD a year, right? So that's just the starting point, and this is someone who has experience, right? Like I'm considering 5-year experience that Henry has working with one of the best agencies out there. So that's at like 40, 45 grand a year. Like that's like paying him like really, really well, and compare that to a guy that you're paying really, really well is probably going to be 120 grand, if not more. So that's dollar to dollar. So that definitely makes sense. But in terms of Pakistan, there's like, so our primary market is Pakistan. We have employees in Philippines and a few other places as well, but primarily because that's our roots. Another thing that we did not realize when you're especially hiring internationally and globally right now, more and people need to move over, but you also have to be cognizant of the laws, especially the more complicated things are happening globally. You want to be protected, right? Your agencies are our babies, and we want to protect them, especially as like you're $50,000 and above. It's a significant business that you've built out. So anytime you're going to hire a person, the peace of mind hiring in the US is that we know we're going to have to pay taxes, we're going to be compliant, we're going to be doing all of that stuff. That element is missing when you go and hire people directly. So even though in the early days, I would, argue that it's okay to take that initial risk. All of us have done that. But eventually, when you go to global hiring, you're going to need a thing called employer of record, which you usually manage yourself in the US, or a third party does that for you over here as well. But these are companies like Deal and Remote. And so that, you're compliant in your contracts when you're hiring internationally. And God forbid if something goes wrong and you have to execute a legal notice, for example, how are you going to do that? You've never done that in Pakistan. So a company like RepStack, who would have offices in Pakistan and in the US, now we do have jurisdiction of that, and we can go and do the legal compliance part. For example, we will withhold all the taxes for our employees. We just paid like a $30,000 payment this past month of all the taxes that we were withholding for all our employees, paid to the FBR, we call it the Federal Board of Revenue back home. So working with the EOR system is going to be very important, especially when you're at a level where you're scaling fast and you have like 10 plus employees. You do not want to risk the organization. So before you move on to the global thing, the cheapest options sometimes are not the best options, because you put a lot of everything that you built at risk. But having said that, coming back to the point of why, yes, definitely the education. When you look at the market of Pakistan, is the fourth largest population in the world, third largest population that speaks English, and really really educated people. English is our second language. The British were there, big influence. A lot of British agencies you would see would have big back offices in Pakistan as well. So yeah, it's a huge talent pool. You gotta get in, but you gotta cover your bases as well. And so that's why there's a lot of stuff on our website available as well. If anybody wants to research repstack.co, and if anyone has questions, they can always drop in the chat and all of that stuff, and we can always get back to them.
We're going to make it really easy for our audience, Azhar. If they're interested in reaching out to you and the team over at RepStack, we're going to drop your socials and your website and everything in the podcast description and the show notes. All right. Before we wrap up here, I want you to put your sales hat on, Azhar. Let's go back to what you guys do at Core, which is basically selling these placements to agencies. Walk us through what your sales process looks like at RepStack when you're trying to sell your placements to digital marketing agencies.
Yeah, so again, and I'm going to start one step before that with our marketing. And we're marketing to the marketing agencies, right, Clinton? So our messaging better be really, really good. And we're marketing the marketing talent to them. So, so everything depends on our marketing. But like I said, that when we got the break early on, we invested heavily into marketing. And we're like, if we can't get this working, then there's no point in doing the whole thing, because it's going to be a sham. We're selling digital marketing agency marketing talent, and we can't even do marketing for ourselves. And then fast forward to today, uh, we get uh, we get anywhere between 120 to 170 book discovery calls every single month. So that's what the sales team is now playing with, plus a whole bunch of opt-ins. Opt-ins would be anywhere between 2 to 400 depending on what we did that month. If there's a webinar, we might have more and things like that. So we got a ton of opt-ins coming in. We got all these lead lists. These are nice and clean lead lists. Plus we have a whole bunch of calls coming in already pre-booked on the sales team's calendar. And now we have these superhero all female sales team at RepStack, by the way. You have to meet him to believe him. Seven of them led by our very own Rouge, and Rouge Akhtar Khan. And she's got, three or four SDR. She's got a closer. She's got a coordinator who's doing all the contracts and everything. But these guys, man, and you got to see the energy in the room when you go and work with the RepStack sales team. These guys are the first ones that arrive in our virtual offices, and like it'll be 6 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m. EST, which is like really early in the morning for them in Pakistan. But they'll be there, like like when you're in the agency, that contract has to be signed and has to be pushed, and the first payment has to come in. The sales team is there, so it's like very similar. Our system is a very parallel to a marketing agency, and that's how we wanted to keep it, and that's kind of how they run it. But the process, in the discovery, we're going to try and qualify the client. Usually if our clients, if person coming in, they don't have at least 3 to 5 employees, we would not place them an associate because that might be too early for them. And we want to see some sort of revenue, at least 10, 20,000 and above before so that would be our qualification criteria. So if you meet that, then and then you're in per particular bracket, like I said, between to 20 to 35, you qualify to hire 2 to 3 roles that I'm going to be talking about uh, on August 21st in a webinar. So we'll share that link with you as well, Clinton, because that's basically your next hire. So if anyone wants to know what their next hire should be in a marketing agency, me, Uruj, and my brother Azhar, we're going to kind of break it down for everyone on August 21st. And we're going to give you the bands. We're going to tell all the roles that we can place. We're going to give the price points if you wanted to go direct and international, if you wanted to go RepStack, or if you wanted to go US based. And we're also going to give out all the job descriptions and everything so that you guys can go and hire them yourselves if you wanted to as well. So I think that would be a great one. But coming back to the sales process, once you qualify, then our sales process kicks in. We're going to put you on a sheet. We're going to find you a person, usually within the next, if the associate is like really ready to go, within 24 hours. If we have to do a little bit of searching and digging within our systems, then usually between 1 to 2 weeks, we'll have candidates ready for you and you're ready to start interviewing. And our model is pay zero until you hire. Our EOR system is completely plugged in, and once you interview these people, usually like the if the sales teams really listen to the clients, then the people that they bring to the table, they have over 90% selection rate. So once they're in front of clients, it's a very simple selection process at that time. Most of their deals already done by then, because our clients usually trust in the type of associates we're going to bring to the table. And at that point, yeah, so you can go with a part-time or a full-time contract at that time. Usually clients would also hire part-time, but within the first 30 days they'll move them quickly to full-time, because the type of people we bring to table, they're mission driven long term, and you want to hold on to them for as long as possible because you're going to build your agencies using these people. So yeah, so that's it from there, man. From there, just a support starts with people. And I one thing that we've realized, Clinton, is that human beings is the toughest thing in our lives. Like if we look around us, you just look at our families, man. Like I wish I could run my family as I run my business. Everything would be so much easier having SOPs. But we can't, right? Because a human connection is the most complicated thing in our lives. And Tony Rickett, he's a friend of Clinton, yours as well. It's a mutual friend.
Had him on the pod.
In July, he asked a question to all the agency owners in Miami. He's like, raise your hands if payroll is your biggest expense. And there was about 150 agencies in that room. Everybody raised their hands. So in our personal lives, we have this, you know, human connection that we have to manage. We're sometimes really successful, sometimes not. But on our business lives, guess what's the biggest problem that we have to manage? Again, is that payroll, is that human connection. That's the biggest expense. That's going to be the most emotional decision that you're going to take when you hire a team, of course, because these people are now, after getting married, this is the most important decision they're making. They're going to come in and work for a company and they're going to give 10 years of their life to you. Why would they want to do that? Right? So that connection is so important. And I think yeah, having systems, processes, all of that stuff is cool, fine, and dandy. Finding the right people and keeping them and helping them grow, and just same type of attention that we place on our personal lives, on our employees and our people. I think that's the way forward here. No matter, it doesn't matter if that person is based out of Karachi, Pakistan, or is in Bali somewhere, or is in Australia or Canada or in the US. Right, so if we can kind of crack that code, that people is always going to be the biggest thing. On the business side, the good news is that it's a business, right? We can bring in the people who really want it and who deliver results. And it's really easy with, the system like what RepStack brings to the table to bring in the right people, weed out the wrong ones, and just, like let these employees be employees for life for you, or, people for life.
I love that you said that because we're in the AI era, right? Where AI is coming for all of your fulfillment, all of these roles there. But I'm an old school sales guy, right? That's how I got not only into digital marketing, that's how I started my career just working, right? Is selling things. And I think finding, hiring, retaining, and training the best sales talent out there is what really can separate a successful agency from a tight, right? Someone that is really crushing it in the agency space. And I think RepStack and you guys, sales development representatives, can be a big part of that for agencies. Um, before I let you go, um, tell me your favorite sales movie you've ever seen.
Oh man. That's a great question. That is a great question. I don't know if it's, man, like, whole Breaking Bad series. That's pretty stale right there.
I mean, he definitely sold product for sure.
Right? So like you can't be better negotiator than Walter White, man, when he's making his negotiations, right?
I would agree. I would agree wholeheartedly with that. So, audience, we thank you for sticking around. If you guys are interested in really getting some great sales talent, some SDRs that you can not only bring into your organization, they're already coached, they're already developed. You're going to continue to coach and develop them and offer them an opportunity to really move into being the next sales closer in your organization. But we're going to drop all the links, all the information for RepStack in the show notes. Azhar, it has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today.
Thanks a lot for having me, Clinton. It was awesome. Congratulations on the podcast and everything you guys are doing. And I hope to see you in October.
Definitely see you in October. Audience, thank you guys for sticking around. If you like what you heard today, make sure that you follow us on social. Make sure that you like, subscribe. And if you're so inclined today, we ask you to leave one of those great 5-star reviews. It helps other agencies find the closing code and take in this great content. Azhar, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thanks for having me, the Closing Curve podcast.
It's Azhar.
All right. All right.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to the podcast for more straight shooting advice on closing deals that matter. Unlock the code, close the deal, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Closing Code Podcast.